Hi, everyone. So, firstly, let me be a bit apologetic there. I'm the last person between you and the drinks. So stay with me, bear with me. Lots of buzzwords over there, okay? Hope you're excited about those ones. So myself, been in the messaging industry for the past 25 years, based in France. It's 1 a.m. right now, time for a gin and tonic. So bear with me another 10, 15 minutes, and we're good to go. So Sinch, a bit on Sinch, you have multiple things on that slide. I think what's important there is to talk about Sinch as we're there for a long time, 2008, profitable from the start. We're there for the long term. We're there also with a lot of customers, connectivities, enterprises that trust us, but also a lot of operators connectivity. We are there for the trust. It's part of our DNA to work with the operators. That's where, for us, building this super network on the SMS was key from the start, but that's why the move on RCS is fairly logical for us. Profitable since the start, that's what you can read there. And what else would I have to say there? The local presence, think global, act local, that's the momentum there. We need to make sure that we adapt the things that we learn from various places in the world, from various geographies, into the new geographies. And I think there, in Canada, it's fairly interesting. It's the right timing, it's the right momentum in order to do that, right? We're ready to go. The operators are ready to go. We are ready to go as an industry. So what we need to ensure right now is that we get the enterprises with us, that we educate, and we make sure that we move forward with it. What do customers want? Always the key question, right? So a lot of them are expecting the technology to solve their problems. They're expecting innovation, they're expecting new technology. That's important, that's one thing. Second thing that we learned is also on the conversations. They really want these conversations to happen via their messaging apps. They really want these to be very interactive. They really want the technology to be speaking to them in their own language at the right timing. So everywhere, every time through the right channel. That's the important thing as well. We talked about this quite a lot in various forums and panels that you've heard today, but what is important as well is that personalization is key. We need to speak their language in their own messaging channel at the right timing, but it has to be personalized. That's very important. That's where today the technology with AI is enabling us for that. That's where all those APIs, with us being able to put context back into the entire customer interaction, this is making things important. That's key. You see there, 76% of the customers get frustrated when this doesn't happen. You've been through that. I hope it makes sense also for you. What you see there on the slide is it's a big slide with multiple numbers, and I won't go there, but I think what's very important to keep in mind is 3 out of 4 customers would leave immediately or would stop interacting with a brand if they are not happy with their first interaction. So we can't miss the boat. We need to ensure that we speak to them in the right language, again, at the right time, through the right message, but we can't, sorry my French, excuse my French, fuck up the relationship with them, right? And by the way, I wanted to put the presentation in French, according to what my colleague Chris wanted me to do. And then I understood that you guys might not be fully fluent in French. So we will see after a few drinks of wine, by the way, if you are getting better in French. That is important as well. That's how we see how businesses should connect with the customers. We need to get them engaged. That's the important thing. We need to keep them connected to the brand. That's what our customers are willing to get. We need to keep them informed. Again, the right information at the right time. This parcel delivery, the utility, all the logistics, it's really something important for our customers today. Get the right information. But also safe. We talk just now about the fraud, but in general, one of the big assets of RCS, as you know, is also the level of trust that we can bring with the brand. being safe there, ensuring that you are really talking to the person you think you are talking to, it's quite obvious. That's a must-have if you want to create a relationship. Finally, a happy customer is a customer that is going to buy more. We all know that, right? So that's really important, and that's back to the personalization, and how do we ensure that they get the right message. The digital customer communications and transformation, again, apologies, it's 1 a.m. So today, we have on the market today, on the SMS market, 39% is utility, 26% is marketing. So this is really where the core of the business is going to be in order for RCS to grow. This is where we believe that there is a gameplay for RCS and for WhatsApp. Why are we also constantly talking about all those channels is that, yet again, it's important to play with those multiple channels. That's what we believe, because we need to ensure that then we provide the right opportunity for the enterprise to engage the way they want. Sometimes it might be RCS, sometimes it might be email, sometimes it might be e-voice, WhatsApp. It really depends. It varies depending on the countries as well, on the penetration. So that's important to take all those parameters into account, and the brand itself and the use case, of course. On the authentication, it's still 35% of the SMS market today. The funny thing as well is that I was discussing this earlier on today. We were expecting SMS. So what this slide is saying is that there is a shift on the authentication out of SMS and email and voice. And this business is transforming into non-SIM-based, other OTT, number verify. We just talked about the network API. So we know that. This being said, I have seen still a very stable SMS volume on the authentication. And why? Our assumption is that even though there is a shift in the communication channels, that would decrease the traffic, but there is also a real shift in the awareness of people around the fact that fraud is important. So there is more and more 2FA SMS. So one is compensating around the other. So clearly, there is no massive decline on SMS for the one-time PIN, despite what everybody would have thought, including myself. So we were wrong I would say, as an ecosystem in order to think that way. So still an interesting evolution on how those various use cases are going through. Let me move there. You know that already, you've heard that many times, but the future is conversational. And you see there a graph from Mobile Square, which I think is interesting because it's showing that SMS will slowly decline, but we are expecting RCS and WhatsApp to explode, right? And we still believe that it's important. That's also important to keep in mind in the ecosystem how Meta is reacting to all of that, how WhatsApp is playing that. I know that we're there to talk about RCS. I know that we are also, as part of our DNA at Sinch, and probably also a big chunk in the room, we are all massively working with the mobile network operators, and we would like RCS to be successful, but we should not forget WhatsApp. That's a dynamic in the ecosystem, which I think we need to keep in mind. Gen AI and conversational messaging, that's clear, right? Right now, there is a complete shift. You understand already. We talked about that already. All this personalization, that's fundamental. AI is there to help us. But AI is also there to help us making sure that those communication channels are going to be consumed by AI, found by AI. This is agentic AI, right? We know that we are going to need to ensure that this is consumable by the AI. So that's why a key message for us also is to ensure that everything would be much more automated, scalable, simple to use. This simplification and the path from SMS towards RCS is also super important if we want to be successful as an industry. And that's what we want, right? Yes. So RCS, you know that already. You might have seen this picture. Personally, I like that because I think it's a very good summary of what RCS is all about. I think the power is really in the branding, the sexiness of the logo, the colors. You're still in the branding, I would say, galaxy. You're still in their environment. you are with them, but you are sure as well, thanks to the verified sender, that these are really the people you're talking to. Super important. Obviously, those rich media, we know that. The analytics, we were also, one of our big channel is email. And as part of the email business, what's very important on email compared today to SMS is really the analytics. On email, you have the click-through rate, you have the read information. So obviously, analytics are much more powerful on email than they are on SMS today. RCS is going to turn that into a reality. The suggested action, we know the power of that. A call to action makes a complete difference. So I think this is a good summary of what it brings. This is a big slide with multiple things, but I think what it means there is that it's a customer journey. What we want is really to create a relationship between the brand, between the enterprise, and the end user. It's about a parcel delivery that would end up in a customer support chat that has to be personalized, of course, because it needs to know you, it needs to know your address, it needs to know the previous issues that you might have had with that parcel delivery, and then potentially trying to sell you something else, right? So on the marketing perspective, bringing you something with a voucher, for example, ensuring that you can give feedback into that brand, and so on. So that's why this is a journey, and how we see RCS is really where this brings this interaction with the enterprise, between the enterprise and the consumer. There you will see a couple of slides with real-life examples of what we made work. And before I completely go through that, let me tell you one thing. Europe is paving the way on RCS. For once, it's not the US, it's Europe. What we are facing at the moment is a massive explosion, I would say, in Europe, but also explosion of many of our day-to-day issues. So for us in the industry, what matters is how will we bring customers to use RCS. So for that, we need to simplify the journey for them. We need to simplify the onboarding, we need to simplify the provisioning, we need to understand, we need to make sure that they get this education for themselves, that they can consume the statistics the proper way, but that also the path from SMS and RCS is simplified. That's why at Sinch we created this RCS upscale. That's why we really want to ensure, and we're working with all of you, our partners there in the room, to make sure that this is simple. That's also back to what we talked about, what you talked about earlier on, Paul, in your panel, about the collaboration. It's about collaborating with each other. We need to make it work together. And then the only way is to simplify that. Obviously, the API and so on and so on. So back to RCS in Europe, a few examples. Very French, surprise, surprise. So one is Clarins. The women in the room would know that. The guys in the room would know that as well because they buy it for their wives, and at least I hope, for the wife. So quite impressive figures. 79% RCS read rate. That's quite impressive. 22% click-through rate. And so I don't know if you know what rich SMS is, but these are SMS with a URL embedded in there. So it's much more powerful than rich SMS. And this is really 2.5 times more redirections with RCS. So this is super successful. Clarins was really super happy with it. And this is a typical example of what we managed to achieve in France, thanks to a very good enterprise relationship with our campaign platform, with our engaged campaign platform, with our professional services people that, guess what, we still need some. Because despite customers telling us, oh, we can do everything by ourselves, you know what the best is probably to help them a bit, especially at those early stages on RCS. Another example there, it's fairly similar, so I will not go through that. Courir is a retailer. They sell sneakers, okay? Courir, it means run. Also very good results, 137% return on investment with RCS. That's the key thing that I believe we need to talk about with our enterprises. That actually works in real life. And we've done tons of A/B testing, by the way, so the brands are really seeing the power of that. Picard is another example. This is they sell, again, a retailer, they sell frozen food. That was #1 brand in France. People love that. Again, simplicity there. What's important in this one is the 42% increased engagement with customers, and that's what they want. They want the loyalty, they want to keep the customers engaged, they want to keep them motivated, happy with the brand. That's very important there. And the enhanced analytics was really something that they did enjoy. They did that for their campaign. I think it was during Christmas or New Year. This is usually where they sell 25% of their food. Last but not least, Nespresso. You will know that, it's the coffee. Yeah? Again, super higher click-through rate, 2.3 times. So we see, similar behaviors depending on those different campaigns. And this is, 3.7 times buying intention than with, there is a mistake than with rich SMS. So RCS, 3.7 times. 100% George Clooney approved, which I think was funny. So anyway, very good campaigns that we clearly have seen. This one was in the UK and in France. The previous ones were massively in France. And I think I'm close to be done. I should have one more. Yes. So again, to circle back on everything that we talked about today, this is about trust. This is about interaction. This is about personalization. This is where the technology today also enables us to do that, thanks to the AI. This is where we need to make it simple for our customers using APIs, but also simplifying the entire journey for those enterprises to buy into that. I've been in that industry again for a long time. Finally, it's happening. I've seen that. It works. So let's just make it work together. And that's it. Done. Thank you.
Lots of energy. Great. And we still have time.
At 1:30,
yeah? 1:30 at night. Well, we're ready for a dance. But
gin and tonic first.
Gin and tonic first. I think this is not us, but anyway, back to us. A key question for the entire room, which is, so what's next? I think a few sentences come to my mind for what I heard today, and they're quite random. But Lawrence from Vonage say that we need an RCS spa. Well, I thought that the meth pickable challenge in Las Vegas was already a bit pushed for, but here we go. Maybe we're going to have an RCS. Well, it's a recovery.
You're teasing for your next event. You're using that slot to tease for the next one.
No, I can imagine. We're a spa. Our next event is a spa. Well, I think the idea that we need to re-energize, given that...
The audience.
Yeah, well, not just the audience, but the entire industry
yes.
about that. We heard instead from, it was Marcelo, saying that we have it was a PI as well. We have a supply challenge still, isn't it? On RCS and AI. Well, what's your recipe between a spa and the supply side? What needs to be done in RCS to get it there a bit faster?
So I think we're on the good track. Again, I would start by talking about collaboration again. I think the trust and the relation with the MNO is important, but also the openness in the conversations. Don't laugh at me.
No,
I mean it. I mean it.
I trust
you. We just had a meeting earlier on with one of our Canadian partners, and the idea was really to say, listen, what is it that we can do better on both sides? How to again simplify the journey for us as a supplier, for the MNO. But obviously for the enterprises, right? If we manage to simplify that, I was giving the example again talking about Europe a bit because that's I think interesting to bring back as an experience. In the UK, we had the MNOs changing multiple times the way the agent should be registered.
Yeah.
That just created a mess on our side and for our customers because when I need to prepare that, I need, of course, to do a lot of operational matters, to bring them, to provision all of these and so on. But I also need to do a lot of sales enablement. I need to sell it to my sales first, right? That's the way it is, so that they can sell it to the enterprises. If the rules of the game are changing all the time, it's super difficult. So I think we need to bring stability, which, for example, is something that RCS is a plus compared to Meta, if I would say that, because they massively change the rules of the game regularly. That's one of the things that we are discussing with them. So I think first and foremost, the MNO relationship. That's why, for us, back to our DNA, I think that's important. The relationship with our peers. It's not only the other aggregators, but this is also the other aggregators and CPaaS providers. We have to be aligned, because when we go to Google, when we go to the operators, when we go to the regulator, we have to go together in order to speak the same language, to speak with the same voice. I think it's going to have much more power if we are together. Our partners, there are plenty of people in the room there that we work with on a daily basis in order to make it work, to vet the campaigns, to improve the agent process and so on. So I think this is also important. Obviously, the relationship with Google is super important. And the technology then, the AI, the API, that's very important. All of that ultimately to make sure that we can provide the best service ever to our enterprise customers and help them to adopt that. Because we need to bring them, to take them by the hand, I would say.
Great. Quite a few bits of a recipes there. I would throw in there that some of it sounds very familiar to what we love to do as MEF, kind of follow up on our working groups and our interest group as well, where we're talking about harmonizations on RCS and also representing you all. We do have a question. Perfect. Phrase in Derpal, and we have a microphone.
So, Ginny, you spoke a lot about how exciting RCS is, and shared some vision of what's going to happen in the future, what third-party companies like Mobile Square are saying. At Sinch, and for you personally, where do you think RCS will be by the end of the decade? Is it going to be like 5% of SMS, 100% of SMS, 50% of SMS?
What we are expecting is really this hockey stick that I've shown there at Mobile Square. We had some disagreements in the past with many of those Gartner reports, for example, not to name them. I do trust Mobile Square more. Again, this is an analyst gameplay, right? So it's difficult to vet. I expect this hockey stick. I expect this hockey stick for both RCS and WhatsApp because of the interaction, because we've seen in real life the power of the conversations. You know what? When you send an SMS to someone and someone is able to respond to you, you know what? It accelerates. And the volume is growing. That's the magic of it, right? So that's also where it's good business for all of us there, because it's going to grow the volumes. Because by definition, the conversation means interaction, means more volume, means more. So for me, I'm super excited about that. Also because we've been in that industry for a long time. We've heard about RCS so many times.
Have we?
And finally seeing this happening. The good thing with messaging, you've been in there also, right? Is things are changing constantly. This one is the new change. I think also with Meta, it's exciting because there is a kind of fight between RCS and Meta. The current or the recent reaction from Meta on the pricing is a reaction to RCS, whether or not they admit it. I'm sure it is. So this is interesting dynamic. So yes, I'm excited. I still believe in the hockey stick. Giving you the numbers, I won't play that game.
Okay. At Sinch,
it's recorded, so I have to be careful.
Okay. Sure. At Sinch, when do you expect the hockey stick to start?
I think it's going to... So on our side, for example, we were expecting much more volume this year, to tell you the truth, because we were expecting North America to launch, or much more the US to launch much earlier. They delayed. So I think the key for the hockey stick in the volume, let's face it, it's North America, especially the US. This is really where we see the massive volumes. But we've seen massive volumes with India, and we've seen massive volumes with Brazil already. So if you extrapolate that to North America, the future is bright, genuinely. And I am super excited, in case you've not seen.
I'd like to thank you, Virginie, for a great presentation. I mean, the two things that stand out, just to make a comment, is the numbers that you saw on the examples are mind-blowing for brands. This is why they're interested.
Exactly.
Engagement rates, response
Exactly.
rates, These are huge percentages relative to what
This is the game changer.
It's a game changer. And secondly, I was asked, I come from California, in preparing for my panel to bring some US messages. Right now, Europe is the place to go look. And the brands in Europe, like Clarins and many others, have been experimenting in Asia Pacific for the last 5 years in WhatsApp and Facebook and various things. And they're now bringing that to the European market, and they are a lot smarter about it than any other market, you know, plus Brazil and India, as you say.
And with the trust and vetting of the carriers. Yes. I think also what RCS brings is also, we were discussing that, there are two persons that you trust as a consumer, your bank and your mobile network operator. This is one of them.
So spend your summer in Europe.
In Paris, a beautiful city.
Come along with plenty of events also from our side to host you all.
I'm teasing as well.
No, please, please. Oh, we'll come to France. We will come to Virginie's as well, no problem.
Oh la la.
Any more questions? If not, well, I'll say it's time to say a big thank you to Virginie.
Thank you. Thank you very much.